Welcome to this training video, which will provide an overview of the European drone rules, which are now applicable in Maltese airspace. Having completed this course and passed the test, drone operators can fly their aircraft in the Open A1 and Open A3 subcategories. There is further training required to operate your drone in the Open A2 subcategory, specific or certified categories. But don't worry, we will explain what all of this means in the next few minutes. These rules have been designed to allow you to enjoy this great technology in a safe way, with standardized rules across Europe. You can watch this video as many times as you like, and then complete the 40-question test at the end. There are two main organizations which we must be aware of when it comes to understanding the drone rules. The first is the European Aviation Safety Agency, or EASA. This body was set up to provide standardized rules across Europe, and it also carries out some other general aviation functions, such as certification, investigation, and monitoring. The European drone rules are effective in all applicable nations from the 31st of December 2020. The second organisation is the Maltese Civil Aviation Directorate. The CAD is responsible for civil aviation regulation in Malta and has created this training course, as well as other drone resources, to make it easy to operate your drone in Maltese airspace. This includes a registration tool and a flight authorization. The EASA drone rules allow for three categories of operation, namely the open, specific, and certified categories. Each subsequent category allows for increased complexity and risk, but the majority of pilots will fly in the open category, so we will focus on that. We will also mention the specific category, but remember, to operate in the open A2 or in the specific category, further training will be required. The European drone rules use a combination of practical rules and technological solutions to make drone operations safer. After the 1st of January 2023, drone manufacturers must have a CE marking which designates the type of drone. These markings will categorize the drones from class C0 to C6, depending on their weight and speed. Drones will also be capable of being remotely identified, allowing regulators and enforcement agencies to identify who is operating a drone. The rules also mandate that certain drones have geo-awareness, which will prevent the drone from flying in unsafe areas. If you are operating a drone which was purchased before the 31st of December 2020, or any drone that does not have a CE marking, then you fall into one of the following open categories. If your drone weighs less than 250 grams, you may operate in the Open A1 subcategory as a Class C0 drone, for example, a DJI Mavic Mini. If your drone weighs more than 250 grams, but less than 500 grams, you may operate in the Open A1 subcategory as a Class C1 drone, for example a DJI Mavic Air. If your drone weighs more than 500 grams but less than 2 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A2 class, for example a DJI Mavic Pro or Phantom. You will need to complete further training and attain an A2 certificate of pilot competency. If your drone weighs more than 2 kilograms but less than 25 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A3 class, for example a DJI Inspire. If these categories are too restrictive, you may complete further training and operate in the specific category. We will discuss the categories for drones which are compliant with the CE marking system a little later on. The majority of drone operators will need to register, but this will cover you for all your drones if you are operating more than one. The only case where you do not need to register as an operator is if the drone has been labelled a toy, weighs less than 250 grams and does not have a camera. So for example, if you are operating a DJI Mavic Mini, you must register as an operator, as the drone is equipped with a camera. When you register, you will receive an operator number or a QR code. This must be written or affixed on your drone. It should be noted that law enforcement officers may conduct checks and ask the drone operator to demonstrate that they hold a valid UAS operator registration number and that it is affixed to the drone. Any breaches will incur a penalty. You will see the link to register as a drone operator on the CAD website. All drone operators flying their drones in Malta must have a valid third-party insurance policy, irrespective of the weight of the drone and type of operation, for example, recreational or commercial. The reason for this restriction is that all of the airspace in Malta is classified as controlled airspace. Any valid insurance policy covering drone operation is acceptable. It is very important that you get to know your drone. Although these aircraft are relatively easy to fly, there are several simple measures you can take that will ensure the safety of your drone and ensure you don't have an accident which could endanger the public or manned aviation. First, it is vital to read your drone user's manual and watch explainer videos, which are usually available online. Most drones have a beginner mode, which will limit the range and height of your drone and allow you to learn at a comfortable pace. When you progress out of beginner mode, it is critical to set a max flight altitude and a maximum flight distance in your flight controller settings. We recommend 5 key safety principles which you should monitor throughout your flight. First, make sure that the home point is correctly set, so the aircraft will return to the correct location should you lose signal or if you need to operate the return to home feature. Monitor your battery levels throughout your flight and ensure you leave sufficient battery to land the aircraft safely. It is recommended to always land with 30% battery life remaining. Monitor your GPS satellite signal throughout the flight, and if you see a poor signal, land the aircraft immediately. Never fly in wind that is outside the capability of the aircraft or your skill level. Remember that flying in strong wind will significantly reduce your battery life and could make it more difficult for your drone to return to home. Keep the drone away from people at all times and be careful not to become too focused on the drone and fail to notice gatherings of people in your vicinity. Depending on your type of drone operation, it can at times require quite a lot of focus and attention. Ensure you have sufficient rest when you are operating your drone. Never fly your drone under the influence of alcohol and always keep the drone in sight. The majority of drone pilots will find themselves operating in the open category. The open category is subdivided into 3 subcategories: A1, A2 and A3. The subcategories are further divided by the class of drone you are operating. Check the weight of your drone for an indication of the subcategory. The first subcategory is Open Category A1. The following drone may be operated in the Open Category A1. Privately built drones weighing less than 250 grams, for example a light racing drone. A C0 drone weighing less than 200 grams, for example a DJI Mavic Mini. A C1 drone weighing less than 900 grams or less than 80 joules of energy, for example a DJI Mavic Air or Mavic Pro. The second subcategory is Open Category A2. If you have a C2 drone weighing less than 4 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A2 category. An example would be the DJI Phantom or Mavic Enterprise. The third subcategory is the Open Category A3. If you have a C3 or C4 drone weighing less than 25 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A2 category. An example would be the DJI Inspire or Matrice series of drone. If you have a privately built drone greater than 250 grams and less than 25 kilograms, you will also be in the Open A3 category. Remember that if you are operating a drone which was purchased before the 31st of December 2020, or any drone that does not have a CE marking, then you fall into one of the following open categories. If your drone weighs less than 250 grams, you may operate in the Open A1 subcategory as a Class C0 drone, for example a DJI Mavic Mini. If your drone weighs more than 250 grams but less than 500 grams, you may operate in the Open A1 subcategory as a Class C1 drone, for example a DJI Mavic Air. If your drone weighs more than 500 grams but less than 2 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A2 class, for example a DJI Mavic Pro or Phantom. You will need to complete further training and attain an A2 Certificate of Pilot Competency. If your drone weighs more than 2 kilograms but less than 25 kilograms, you may operate in the Open A3 class, for example a DJI Inspire. All drone flights in Malta need to be authorised by having a valid authorisation form. This is obtained by submitting a flight request through our online system. This system allows you to identify which zones are restricted and plan your flight. Flights which are low risk and comply with certain predefined parameters are authorised automatically, so the authorisation form can be downloaded and/or printed immediately. Such flights do not exceed the maximum altitude of 60 meters, do not infringe any no-fly zones indicated on the map, and are not carried out before half an hour before sunrise and after half an hour after sunset. Flights which are not authorised automatically require a risk assessment to be submitted to the CAD at least 5 working days before commencement of the operation. It should also be noted that law enforcement officers may also conduct checks to see that drone flights are being conducted as per the parameters in the authorisation forms. Any breaches of the parameters may also incur a penalty. To operate a drone in the open category, it is a requirement to keep your drone in sight at all times. There is no specific maximum range, but the drone must be visible to the pilot throughout the whole flight. You must give way to manned aircraft at all times. We will now look at the Open A1 subcategory in a little more detail. If you are operating a privately built drone less than 250 grams, or a C0 class of drone less than 250 grams, for example the DJI Mavic Mini, or if you are operating a drone with no CE marking and less than 250 grams, then you will be operating in the A1 subcategory. You must apply for permission for every flight through the CAD website. It is not illegal to fly over people who are not involved with your flight, but if it occurs, you must take extreme caution. You must register as an operator if the drone has a camera. You must not fly over crowds of people, you must not lose sight of your drone, and you must not fly higher than 60 meters. Make sure you read the user manual before operating the drone. If you are operating a C1 class drone weighing less than 900 grams and 80 joules of energy, for example the DJI Mavic Air, or if you are operating a drone with no CE marking and less than 500 grams, then you will also be operating in the A1 subcategory. You must apply for permission for every flight through the CAD website. With this class of drone, you cannot fly over people who are not involved with the operation. You must register as an operator if the drone has a camera. Register yourself on the CAD website, complete this training course and pass the test. Make sure you read the user manual before operating the drone. Don't lose sight of your drone or fly above 60 meters. We will now look at the Open A2 subcategory in a little more detail. The Open Category A2 allows you to fly a C2 class of drone, which is up to 4 kilograms in weight. You must complete additional training to operate in this class, as it allows you to fly a relatively heavy drone in close proximity to people. After completing the additional training and test, you must self-declare that you have completed practice with the drone to ensure you are competent to operate in this category. More details on how to complete this additional training are on the CAD website. The main difference between this category and the A1 and A3 categories is that you can fly up to 30 meters from uninvolved people. You can reduce this distance to only 5 meters, provided you activate a low speed mode or equivalent. On DJI drones, this is known as tripod mode. Take extra precaution when flying close to people and make sure you keep the drone in sight and below 60 meters. If you are operating a legacy drone weighing less than 2 kilograms purchased before the 31st of December 2020, or a drone with no CE marking weighing less than 2 kilograms, then this is the subcategory for you. However, in this case, you cannot fly closer than 50 meters, regardless of whether you are in a low speed mode or not. If you are operating a legacy drone that weighs more than 2 kilograms, you must fly in the A3 subcategory or in the specific category. We will now look at the open A3 subcategory in a little more detail. If you are operating a C3 or C4 drone, which is heavier than 4 kilograms and less than 25 kilograms, or a drone weighing more than 4 kilograms with no CE marking, or a legacy drone which was purchased before the 31st of December 2020 weighing more than 2 kilograms, then you will find yourself operating in the open A3 category. The rules from the other open categories apply here, in addition to a significant restriction on the locations in which you can fly. Again, you cannot fly over people, and you must keep 150 meters from residential, commercial, industrial, recreational areas. This means you cannot fly in tourist areas like the Dingley Cliffs, close to cities, public parks, beaches or training grounds. If these rules are too restrictive, it is recommended you instead operate in the specific category. Drone operators and pilots should be aware that the collection of images of identifiable individuals, even inadvertently, when using cameras mounted on small drones, may be subject to the Data Protection Act. Drone operators must be aware of their responsibilities regarding operations from private land and any requirements to obtain the appropriate permission before operating from a particular site. In particular, they must ensure that they observe the relevant trespass laws and do not unwittingly commit a trespass whilst conducting a flight. Drone operators must be reachable on the mobile phone number provided throughout the drone operation and must ensure that their mobile phone is charged, as air traffic control may call. Congratulations, you have completed your training. Before we go, take a moment to note which class of drone you intend to operate. Now observe a summary of the rules which apply to your class of drone. This is intended for drones which have a CE marking and are purchased after the 1st of January 2021. Remember that if you have a legacy drone which you purchased before the 31st of December 2021, or a drone that does not have a CE marking, then you may be in a different class, as you will see here. If this is the case, take note of your class of drone. And now let's look at the summary table for these drones. Okay, that's it for now. You can repeat this video as often as you like, and don't forget to download the handy PDF summary. If you want to take your training to the next level, why not check out the Open A2 Certificate of Competency course, or get qualified to operate in the specific category. More information is available on the CAD website. That's all for now. Safe flying.